You are a monster, my pet. You always will be, no matter what you do. My shotgun fired, as one of the bloodwings came flying towards me. Its head exploded into meaty chunks. Its body flew over me, hitting the far wall with a wet crunch. 7 shots left, and only 40 or so left to kill. This should be fun. I ducked and rolled as 2 more flew over me, their screeching filling the air. I could see Stardust up on the upper balcony, firing wildly as each one passed near him. Concentration etched into his face as he lifted with each shot. If he had his rifle, I'm sure it would have been a lot easier for him. The 10mm I gave him wasn't doing enough damage to actually harm the flying beasts. Most of his shots either missed or grazed tender areas. Aura was a monster in her own right. Unlike Stardust, who was keeping to the ground, she was in the air, meeting every one of them face to face. She looped around 2 who were coming at her. She flipped around in midair with her spear and beheaded one, then stabbed the other in the back. With a quick flap of her wings, she flew higher, her weapon arcing up, cutting another bloodwing from belly to neck. It screamed as it was eviscerated. Before it could even start to fall, she was already battling another one. The monsters weren't stupid, however. 3 went after her at once, each one dodging her spear and talons as the others kept her distracted. I twisted and dodged 2 that were flying at me, using the butt of my shotgun to strike their wings as they passed by. I missed the first one, but the second went down with a satisfying crunch as the middle joint of its wing gave way. It skidded to the ground and started to get back up, hissing at me as it limped along. I ran up to it and bucked it in the face, sending it flying into the wall. Before it could rise again, my hoof stomped down hard on its head. Once, twice, 3 times, until the skull gave. Ignoring the gore on my forehoof and hoof, I looked across the room at Sharp. She was watching us with that satisfying grin on her face. I grinned back at her and racked the shotgun, pointing it right towards her. Thought you were ordered to kill me. Seems kinda lazy to leave it up to your little friends. Another bloodwing landed in front of me, screeching and biting. I triggered Sats and blasted 2 shells into its face. The body flew back in a red mist. 5 shots left. 2 more landed in front of me, one in front of the other. I tried to line up one in front of the other with the butt of my shotgun, but it jumped back. I cursed and activated Sats, again as it lunged for me. Time slowed and I triggered its head like the others. I fired, and it missed. I jumped out of the way and activated Sats again, this time aiming for one of the wings. The shot connected, blowing the appendage off in a shower of blood. The other one jumped for me as its companion fell. I tried to use Sats again, but it was recharging. I ran towards it and slid on the ground as I lunged, aiming my shotgun up and firing as it passed over me. It screamed and fell to the ground as its torso blew apart, organs spilling all over the floor. I got back to my hooves and looked over at Sharp again. She was just sitting there, smiling. Is this entertaining to you or something? I yelled at her. I only had 3 shots left. Could I take her down with only those 3 shots? No, it's not, she said, and she slowly stood. Then why don't you just get it over with already? I was giving you and your friends time. She took a step closer, the long spear-like bones from her legs making tiny ticks with each step. Time for what? I asked, pointing my shotgun at her. Time for you to figure out a way to kill me. She sounded sincere as she walked closer. Her eyes looked sad. Is that some kind of twisted joke? Why would you want me to find a way to kill you? I did want to keep her from hurting any pony again, but I still found it strange that she'd want to die. She came within inches of my shotgun. Because I'm a monster, created by the doctor simply so he could take over this stable. I can't kill myself to atone for my sins, so I have to have you to do it. I won't be able to just let you. I'll fight back until I can't anymore. I have no control over that, but I still want to die. The shotgun shook in my magic's grip as she spoke. That all sounds really complicated. If that's the only way to stop all this, then fine. I pulled the trigger, and she dodged it faster than I thought possible. She twisted around and bucked the shotgun aside. She screeched again and jabbed at me with those freaky bone things coming out of her legs. What kind of pony has mutant bone thingies anyway? Stupid question. She's a monster. I noticed as I dodged the strike that as she struck, she bent her hoof inward, making the bone work like a small claw. She jumped into the air and dove at me with those damned claws coming right down from my head. Even though I knew it would hurt like hell, I tried to teleport anyway. My horn glowed red, and in a flash, I was about 6 feet to the left. She landed a second later, and her claw sunk into the floor like it was made out of butter. She jerked and pulled, but she was stuck to the ground. She growled and looked over at me with her glowing yellow eyes. I felt kind of bad for her. I wasn't sure why, but I just knew something wasn't right. It was like she wasn't in control of her own actions. She didn't choose to be like this. She was just the product of a mad doctor. I lifted my shotgun towards her head, and she jerked again. "I'm sorry," was all I could say as I pulled the trigger. With the last jerk, she pulled up enough to keep the shot from hitting her head. Instead, it blew the claws off her leg as she blocked the shot. She screeched again as blood splurted from the fresh wounds. As she did, my horn felt like it was being stabbed again. I noticed something different this time as I looked at her. That pinkish glow around her muzzle as she screeched. It wasn't coming from her, but from the collar she wore. That had to be the source of whatever was fucking up my horn. The screech kept going on as she thrashed in pain. I could see my pip buck starting to act up again. I ignored it and the pain in my head as I fought to hold onto the shotgun. I lifted it and fired my last shell. There was a flash of pink light, and everything went black. I opened my eyes, looking up Aura and Stardust. They both looked relieved as I opened my eyes. I smiled deliriously. "So, did we win?"
I'm not sure. Whatever you did scared off the blood wings. No idea where they went, though,"
Aura said, helping me back to my hooves. I took a look around. Where did Sharp go? Stardust pointed towards the stairway that led to the upper level of the atrium. I saw her shaking on the ground next to it, blood dripping from her legs. The collar I shot was lying next to her, sparking on the ground. "She stopped attacking as soon as you destroyed that collar on her neck. She hasn't moved from the spot since then either. So I figured we'd leave her to you." I feel like I'd say something sarcastic and insensitive. I walked over to her cautiously. She might not look like she's going to do anything, but I had to be ready just in case. "Sharp, what was that thing you had on your neck?" She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Now I could see that her shaking wasn't from whatever happened when I shot the collar. She'd been crying. She sniffed.
"Dr. Cell was using that thing to keep me under his control. As long as I had it on, I had to do whatever he said."
She shivered more, her eyes getting wider.
"He ordered me to kill those fillies. He told me to make an example of them. He made me kill so many ponies before the rest got away."
I sighed and looked back at my companions. "What do we do now?"
"I say we kill the thing and let's get out of here,"
Aura said nonchalantly. I noticed she had dozens of cuts on her from the fight. "She wasn't in control of herself. I say give her a chance," Stardust said. "Great. I was the tiebreaker. Why couldn't a better pony than me decide this? I'm not a judge over an overmare. Why should I choose who lives or dies? I mean, if she was still attacking me, I wouldn't hesitate. But the bar on my AFS was white. I groaned and sat on my haunches, pressing my hooves to my eyes. Why does it have to be so hard? I looked up at Sharp. "You said before you wanted to die, right?" She looked up at me and nodded.
"It's the only way to atone for my sins, and to keep me from doing any more harm."
"Do you want to hurt my friends or me anymore? Or any other pony?" She gave me a quizzical look.
"I don't. But what does it matter?"
"Then I can't kill you. From how I see it, you only did what you did because you were forced to do it." I got up and turned away from her. "If you want to do something good, don't kill yourself. That won't bring back the ponies who died. Only a coward would do such a thing." Without looking back at her, I walked towards the stairway. Her voice floated to me quietly.
Thank you.
Let's go, I said to my companions as I started walking up the steps.
Are you sure about this, Shorty?
Aura asked, walking up next to me.
I'm not sure about anything anymore.
All I know is that we need to get out of here, and I need to have a word with Dr. Cell. We can't leave Stable 9 till he's dealt with.
I don't know if it's a good idea. You saw what she could do. Do you really want to let her live with that kind of power?
Aura asked me.
That's not up to me.
If she was still trying to kill us, then yes, I'd take care of her. I can't go around and kill every pony I think could be dangerous. If I did, I wouldn't have helped you, I said, looking over at her. She blushed and looked away.
Fine. But if she ends up hurting some pony down the road, you'll only have yourself to blame.
I ignored her, making my way over one of the doors to the upper level. I saw my saddlebag sitting next to it, along with my duster. I reached down, picked up my stuff, and put my blood-stained duster back on. When I was done, I loaded my shotgun again, and looked back at the two of them. How did you find me? When the Griffin found me, I still couldn't find a way out of the hallway. All the doors on that side were sealed off. I was still trying to find a way I could use to open the doors when the lights went out. The two of us flew back to the room you were in, but you were gone. We ran back to the atrium door with no power. We couldn't open it. How'd you two get to me, then?
We tried another way to get to the atrium. When the power came back on, we just flew back and tried the one that we didn't have before.
Aura said, simply. We kept moving down the hall, weapons drawn. I wasn't going to risk running into any more monsters without being ready for it. The hall rounded into a corner that led us into two different doors. Over one door, there was a sign that said Overmare, and the other said Biology Lab. If I was a crazy doctor-scientist guy, where would I go if I was in a panic and trying to get away from some pony who wanted me dead? I asked, looking at both doors. Really? Is that even a real question? Stardust asked, giving me a look. The lab it is, then, I said, making my way over to the door and opening it. Stardust just shook his head, snickering. I opened the door into another short hallway that led to another door. As I approached it, Aura chimed in.
Why would you have two doors like this? I mean, what's the point of one door when a short hallway and then another door? I mean, no wonder stable ponies are so weird. They come from fucked up places like this.
Come to think of it, it was a little odd. Stable 28's labs were set up the same way. Same for the clinic. I wonder if there was some scientific reason for it. I, however, wasn't the sciencey type. I just looked back at her and smiled widely. No idea, but who gives a rip if it's what it is? The door opened and I walked through. The first impression I got was it looked like what I would expect a lab to look like. Microscopes on tables, beakers and terminals. I also saw something else I didn't expect. A dead blood wing on the far table, partially dissected, blood pooling on the floor next to it. Then the door behind me slammed shut. Aura and Stardust still on the other side. Why does this stupid shit keep happening to me? Oh yeah, I forgot to knock on wood. That's right. Now it makes total sense. From now on, I'm going to knock on wood, throw salt over my shoulder, say ribbit when I wake up. The whole shebang. Shadow! Stardust yelled on the other side of the door. Don't worry. We'll get you out of there. I'll be okay. Go to the Overmare's office and see if you can get this door open from here. Fine. Just be careful. How nice of you to join me, Dr. Cell said from the room on the other side of the lab. I figured you'd come running up here, I said, checking my shotgun and slowly walking forward. You surprised me. I never expected a filly like you to be able to fight off so many of my children. Even more. I didn't think you'd figure out how to get Sharp out of my control. It wasn't hard to figure out. When I saw her using that screech of hers, I saw the glow from the collar. Figured shooting it would do something. Ah, that was very smart of you. Well done! I take it you're here to kill me, then? I could see the red bar on my EFS when I slowly moved closer. Yeah, You've done some nasty things, Doc. It's time for you to pay for your crimes. Sadly, I can't let you do that. I have so much more to do, he said as he poked his head out from the doorway. So how about you die instead? Using his magic, he tossed something towards me. I had no idea what it was, but after what he said, I knew it couldn't be good. I wrapped my magic around it, intending to throw it back at him. As my magic connected with what he threw, I knew my mistake as soon as the connection was made, and the world around me melted away. A memory orb. Just fucking perfect. That was something I really wasn't expecting. I was stuck in this thing, while the crazy doctor was doing goddesses knows what to me. I was in a stallion. Yep, that was definitely something that didn't belong on a mare. I felt something fluttering on my sides. With no horn and the extra appendages on my side, I figured I was in the body of a Pegasus. My host was making his way through an assortment of soldiers in some kind of field, a large tent looming in front of him. The body I was in felt like I was pressed into some kind of armor, but it fit nicely. He turned away from the large tent and walked into a smaller one. Inside was a tall, red earth pony stallion, putting on the last of his combat armor. His head turned as my host walked through the tent flap, a smile on his face. "Hey, Big Mac! It's good to see you again, old friend," my host said in a deep voice. "Night Stalker. It's been a while. I didn't expect y'all here today." "Luna's orders. She wants all hooves on deck for this. I'm afraid the Stripes will try something," my host said, walking up next to the tall stallion and looking into the mirror as well. My host seemed normal looking to me. Dark gray coat, black mane, and emerald green eyes. He was, however, almost as tall as the red stallion he called Big Mac, and over his left eye was a wicked scar. It looked like the claw or talon had torn away a large chunk of skin over the eye, leaving it a pink, red patch of skin. He was wearing similar-looking armor to Big Mac, only it was black, with dark blue running along its edges. There was a crescent moon on the chest with a red ruby above it, slightly glowing. Hooked to one side of the combat armor was a helmet with goggles and a rebreather connected to it. The goggles had a red tint to them, and in the middle they were 3 tiny gemstones. There were 2 swords strapped to his back. The swords glowed a little, even in the dim light of the tent, and looked sharp as hell. The handles had small bars poking out of them, like they were made to connect to something. On his other sides, his wings had a battle saddle with 2 disintegration rifles attached to it. I remember seeing something in the Wasteland Survival Guide about them. "We are here for Princess Celestia to talk over terms of peace with Caesar's representatives. If they're up to no good, wouldn't they try to go after the current ruler of Equestria, not the former?" Big Mac asked. "I wouldn't put it past them, my friend. You've been in plenty of battles with the Stripes. You should know by now, you can't trust them," my host said, walking away from Big Mac and looking around the tent. "Yep, I'm sure I have been. I'm hoping that today won't be another. I still don't understand why you'd be sent here. From what I heard, you've got your own squad of ponies to lead. I thought they were supposed to be kept a secret." You know, I just can't stay out of what could end up being a good fight. Luna wanted us here to back you up, and the Marauders. If something should go down, you couldn't ask for better ponies to be here," my host said, getting a little more enthusiastic. "Tell me, how'd you hear about my new team? I only started recruiting them a few weeks ago, and as far as I know, our missions have been kept top secret." "I have my ways of finding things out, and Celestia ain't good at keeping secrets when it comes to some of her trusted ponies like myself." I'm sure that young stallion Echo had a little to do with that, more than the princess's loose lips. Maybe he did. I'm not sure why you care. Do you think my team and I will go around telling ponies about the princess's secret group of assassins? We're not assassins. More like a team that can be sent in to take care of things normal soldiers can't. So you're more like a secret society that just happens to kill ponies, Big Mac said with a smile.
Something like that, sure.
You know, I'm just yanking your chain, Night Stalker. I'm proud to see you making your way up the ranks like you are. How does it feel to be a captain?
Honestly, it feels weird. I barely got used to giving orders as a sergeant before Celestia recruited me to be part of Luna's guard, then to take on this project as leader of a new secret special ops team. Now I'm bumped up way higher in the ranks than I ever thought I'd be.
You'll do fine. I remember what it's like to have ponies looking to you for leadership. When the Marauders started, I was scared shitless that I'd mess something up. Y'all gonna have a good head on your shoulders.
You'll end up being one hell of a leader. Your team is highly respected and probably one of the best fighters in Equestria.
That might be true, but that could change soon.
He had a funny look. My host must have noticed it too, because he walked back over to the large stallion.
You okay?
Big Mac smiled.
More than okay. I'm peachier than a peach cobbler.
You're still a bad liar, Big Mac.
You're leaving the Marauders, aren't you?
A small smile came to his face.
I'm retiring.
Why?
I have a special mare that I owe a better life. After today, I'm done with this war. I plan on moving back to Sweet Apple Acres, or maybe Ponyville. I'm gonna ask her to marry me, he said, his smile growing.
It'll suck to see you go, big guy. But if any pony deserves to live his life and be happy with a mare, it's you, my friend. What's her name?
I'll introduce you after we get engaged. Before that, I ain't telling any pony.
Fair enough.
What about you, Night Stalker? Do you have a special sun pony yet?
I could feel my host's cheeks start to burn a little as he blushed. Not really.
What kind of answer is that?
I have feelings for a mare, but she's way out of my league. She knows how I feel, I think, but I could never ask her to love a pony like me.
What mare wouldn't like a good-looking buck like you? I mean, yeah, that eye of yours is a little messed up, but most mares like a buck with scars.
I'll tell you when I meet your mare friend, my host said with a sly smile.
Fair enough. Well, I think it's about time to get to our posts. I gotta check on my own team and make sure they're in position. Then I'll be heading over to the main tent. I'll see you there, Big Mac.
The two bumped hooves, and my host left the tent and headed towards the large one. He walked in and headed for the long table set up on one side of the tent. Sitting by it was a goddess, Princess Celestia herself, looking regal and beautiful. Just how did she look in the many books I'd seen her in? Only now she was in front of me. Well, at least in this memory. She looked at my host and smiled as he trotted over to her, bowing low. "Night Stalker, I'm glad you could make it," she said.
"I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Princess,"
he said it once again as he rose. She laughed lightly. "I'm sure you'd rather be anywhere else but here. No matter. I'm happy you are. I'll admit I'm a little worried that something will go wrong, and I feel much safer with one of Luna's children of the night alongside me."
"Everything will be fine, Princess. And you'll have Big Mac and the Marauders here as well.
You're the one who set this place up.
You'll only be meeting the old zebras. Not much can go wrong,"
he said, giving her a smile. "Still, I'm glad you'll be keeping watch. Where's the rest of your team?"
"They're set up in different areas of the camp, watching over the borders to make sure the zebras don't get the drop on us, in case this was all a setup," my host said, pulling his helmet off his hip and putting it on. When he did, the eyes on the helmet brought up what looked like an EFS.
"Good,"
she said as Big Mac walked in and stood on the other side of the princess. A few zebras started to walk in with some ponies, all of them coming up to the table. What happened next I didn't really pay attention to. It was all a bunch of bickering about crimes the ponies committed or the zebras and how they could overcome the damage that happened in the war. Halfway through, though, a radio in the helmet made a hissing sound, then a mare's voice echoed in my host's ear.
"Captain, I'm seeing movement in the trees to the north."
Turning his head to the side, my host whispered back. "Are they stripes?"
I think so, sir. But I'm not getting you a good view. They're possibly wearing zebra stealth cloaks. Do you want us to intercept?
Use the thermal goggles, and only engage if they move past the tree line. They may just be guards for the ambassador. Be sure to keep me updated.
Yes, sir. You can't expect me to agree to these terms, Ambassador. My sister is the ruler of Equestria now, and for the last time she is no longer Nightmare Moon,
Celestia said, as she looked at the old zebra. Another voice came over the radio, a stallion this time from the sounds of it. Sir, we have movement on their side of the camp. Zebra stealth cloaks for sure. Engage now. Make sure they don't get near the tent, Night Stalker said. He turned towards Big Mac and was about to say something when all hell broke loose. Zebras seemed to appear out of nowhere, blades in hoof as they charged towards Princess Celestia. Big Mac and my host jumped into action, the former pulling Celestia back, the latter firing his guns at the charging zebras. They started to explode in dust as he fired shot after shot. He looked back at his friend, who was also firing at the charging zebras. Ponies were yelling and screaming from outside the tent as the advancing zebras fought their way towards the tent and Princess Celestia. My host bucked at a zebra who got too close, sending him flying into 3 more, his face caving in from the force of my host's kick. Big Mac, you have to get the princess out of here, he yelled. I'm trying, but I'm a little preoccupied at the moment, Big Mac replied. The other soldiers that were posted in the tent with them fell as zebra assassins advanced, using a fighting style I'd never seen before. They seemed to dance around shots and dodge any melee attacks. Soon, only 3 left standing against the zebras were my host, Celestia, and Big Mac. You will be coming with us, princess, one of the zebras said with a triumphant look on his face. I don't think so, my host said, firing at the old zebra. With surprising grace, he dodged the shot and attacked. My host tried to block on the shots, but he wasn't fast enough, and may have got him on the ribs, legs, and face, bringing him to his knees. The old zebra smiled. You ponies don't stand a chance against us, and we are some of the best hoof-to-hoof fighters the Caesar has. A shot rang out and his head exploded from a burst of gore, bone, and brain tissue, blasting all over my host. You were saying, my host said, wiping the gore from his goggles and then saying into the radio, Thanks, Comatrail.
You got more coming in, sir. The others will be here soon. I'll hold my position in case more try to make their way into the tent.
Big Mac didn't let off as he fired over and over, doing his best to kill anyone who got too close to Celestia. Princess, you need to evacuate. We can't hold him off forever.
I won't leave you two here to die like this, she said, to me looking too stunned or shocked to do anything.
Damn it, my host said. Then he spoke into his radio once again. We need all soldiers to the tent. They're after the princess. Big Mac backed up, putting his body between Celestia and the oncoming zebras. As he moved back, a distant boom filled the air, and a hole appeared in the side of the tent, a bullet ripping through Big Mac's chest. Blood flew, and time seemed to slow as a large stallion fell. My host watched for a split second in what had just happened, looking down at the lifeless eyes of his friend. Then, as if his training kicked in and kept him going, he said into his radio, Sniper! We've got a sniper out there! Big Red is down! Babs, get to the tent! We need you here for defense!
I'm on it,
another mare's voice said in the radio. It seemed the zebras were shocked as well at the death of a big, large pony. They faltered for a moment, confusion written all over their faces. Then a deep bellow came from my host's lips, as he reached up and attached the silvery swords of his armor, each one pointing outwards, sharp edges facing away from him. As he roared his pain and rage, his wings flapped, and faster than ever Stardust could even move. He crossed the space between zebras and himself. His right foreleg flew out, slicing cleanly through the neck of a zebra, his head coming free from his body, his blood spraying in the air. You fucking bastards will pay for what you've done! My host yelled, jumping at another zebra, his left blade stabbing him in the chest. Another tried to stab at the crazed Pegasus, but my host ducked. With his other hoof out, the sword cut the zebra's leg out from under them. Another fired a pistol, but only dinged off the armor, the ruby glowing a little as it did. He died as my host swinged his sword, cutting him in two, his innards splaying across the ground. The rest tried to flee, but Night Stalker wasn't having it. He rushed in, and his blades took down whoever was left in the tent with him. He screamed, then looked back at the princess as soldiers came in, creating a defensive circle around the princess and the fallen soldier. Seeing the princess was safe, he flew out of the tent flaps and high into the sky. He reached up and pressed a button on the side of his helmet. Everything went blue and red, and he stared, looking around the area. Running, red pony-shaped marks were all over the place, some fighting, others chasing. My host didn't give a second thought. He was looking for something else. He searched the rocky hills near the field and saw only a few dots of red on them. He deactivated the spell in his helmet and raced towards the cliffs. When he got there, he looked down to where he'd seen the red marks before. There were only ponies around. One was a sniper. She was looking through her scope, firing at zebras as they fought the ponies. Shaking his head, he cursed. Where the fuck did that bullet come from? When no pony answered, he sheathed his blades and flew back towards the field where the rest of the soldiers were chasing off the last of the zebras who had attacked. He landed next to the tent and walked inside. Celestia was crying, some of a few soldiers, as they were looking at the still form of Big Mac. Pulling his helmet off, my host walked over and kneeled next to his friend. With a shaking hoof, he closed the lifeless green eyes and let one tear fall. Those motherfuckers will pay for this. A hoof rested on his shoulder, and my host looked up to Celestia's melancholy face. I'm sorry. This is all my fault. He stood and shook his head. No, princess. You were trying to make peace. The zebras are the one at fault. They don't understand peace. All they know how to do is kill. Do not blame the race for what a few of their kind do. They're all monsters. Every last one of them, my host said. Then he looked over at one of the soldiers. Get her out of here, just in case they have backup coming. He saluted. Yes, sir. My host walked to the flap of the tent again. Before he was out, Celestia yelled, Night Stalker! Please don't walk out like this. Sorry, princess. But I need a little time. Get back to Canterlot safe. I'll be sure to give my report to your sister when I get back. And he walked out, then flew into the air. He started making his way over to the edge of the field, landing next to a white Pegasus mare, with a black and yellow mixed mane. She had a zebra tied up next to her. She saluted when he landed. Sir, we were able to capture one of them. Good work, Cometail. He walked over to the zebra. Why did you attack us? We were here to negotiate for peace. There will be no peace while Nightmare Moon lives. Enough with that bullshit. Why did you try to kill Princess Celestia? He looked confused. We did no such thing. We were only trying to capture the princess and use her as our bargaining chip to force Nightmare Moon to step down to help end the war. Liar. One of your snipers killed a good friend of mine while he was protecting the princess. We have no snipers, you fool. It must have been one of your own, he said, glaring up at my host. More lies. No pony here would have ever taken a shot at our princess or Big Mac. Tell the truth, he said angrily. I am, you damned fool, and I don't change my words for anything. Now how are you going to take me as a prisoner of war? I look forward to the hospitality your government will have for me, he said with a smile. In a flash, my host drew one of his blades with a wing, sliced it through the zebra's neck, and sheathed it again. The head rolled off, and blood sprayed everywhere. The mare backed away, and looked at my host with horror. Why did you do that, Captain? You could have had more information we could have used. My host looked back at her. Because he wouldn't have stopped his lies. And we captured a few of his friends for the MOM to have. He was useless and deserved no less. Don't worry. I'll make sure to tell Luna what happened here. If she's angry, then I'll bear all the responsibility. Yes, sir. Understood. As my host turned his back on the dead body of the zebra, He smiled and started to slowly walk away, the Pegasus mare close behind. I jumped as I came out of the memory. I tried to move my hooves, but they were tied down. I looked around, seeing I was still in the lab on a table. Dr. Sell was standing next to me, his horn glowing as he mixed different concoctions in beakers and flasks. He looked over at me. "I see you're awake. Good. How did you enjoy your nap?" "What the fuck are you doing?" I asked, pulling at my restraints. "Keeping you from trying to kill me again. I told you before I need another subject to try my experiments on. I think you'll do nicely, but I do have a couple of questions before we begin," he said, smoothly setting down the potion he was working on. "Oh yeah? Like what?" "How in Celestia did you get a hold of that pip-buck? It's a very rare model. I've only seen 3 like it before," he said, lifting his foreleg and showing me his own pip-buck. It looked a lot like mine, only instead of having a shiny finish like my own, his was matte black with a purple accented line. I smiled as I saw it. "Funny. I could ask you the same question. How did you get one?" "There were 3 of them in Stable 9. One went to the overmare, another to the head of security, and the last to the head of research. I got mine a couple years before the stable went to shit. Now, how did you get your hooves on the overmares?" I looked down at my pip-buck, wondering that myself. I looked back at him with a smile. "Gift from my mother." "When I killed the overmare, she didn't have her pip-buck on anymore. I wondered what she'd done with it. I guess one of the survivors had ran off with it. Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. My other question is simple as well. Why did you open my stable?" "I was strapped to a table by a mad scientist who made monsters. What could it hurt to tell him the truth? I was already royally fucked. The Steel Rangers wanted a pip-buck like mine. Since they can't get mine off, they figured they'd send me here to find another." Steel Rangers, huh? The name alone is kind of misgiving. I'll have to be sure to deal with them when I leave here," he said, picking up his potions again. "My friends are outside the door, and they'll kill you as soon as you open it. No matter what you do to me, you're dead. What makes you think you can get out of here?" He chuckled and pointed over towards a few terminal screens. "You see them?" I looked over, and to my horror, I saw thousands of bloodwings throughout all the lower levels of the stable. He laughed again. "They're my ticket out of here, and they'll all see me as one of them, thanks to a gene that I fixed when I created them. Both them and their offspring will never hurt me, and will always do what I tell them to. No magic needed, like with Sharp. They'll take care of your friends and Sharp for me, and I'll let them loose in Equestria, my own personal army." "Is that why the lower parts of the stable were sealed?" I asked, in horror at the sight of so many blood-sucking monsters. "Yes, but only to you 3. My creations. Bloodwings, is that what you call them, I think? They can get through any door in the stable, even if I seal it. I set it up that way to keep the rest of the ponies from escaping. I only kept a few from getting away, unfortunately." I thought of the 8 pony heads Stardust and I saw when we first got into the stable. "You're a monster." "I may be a monster. Oh, but don't worry. Soon you'll be one too," he said, smiling wider as he pressed the potion to my lips. "Enough talk. It's time to take your medicine." "Wait, one question before you do that," I said, quickly before closing my mouth tight. "What?" he sighed. "Can you at least tell me how to get these pip-bucks off?" He pulled the bottle away from my lips, looking at me curiously. "Well, not like it matters, but the Mark II only unlocks when a pony dies. At least that's the way I got them off in Stable 9. The Overmare knew the other way, but she never shared that information with the rest of us." That couldn't be right. Mother took hers off and left it for me. Either he was lying to me, or I really didn't know. Oh well, can't be helped now. I had enough of this nut job. I could see something on one of his terminals. So using my magic, what little I had left, I flipped the switch next to the main terminal, hoping it would do what I hoped it did. The lab door clicked, and in flew Sharp. I saw her on the terminal rushing up the hall and hoped she wasn't coming to kill me. Sure enough, as the doctor looked up, she slammed into him, throwing him through the glass window of an observation room. She flapped her wings to slow herself, then landed next to me. Hey, Sharp. Nice timing. Think you can help me out of this? I said, giving her an I'm a big idiot for falling for this stupid trap smile. She looked at me for a moment, then pressed a button next to the table. There was a hiss and the straps holding me down clicked open, letting me loose. I jumped to my hooves and picked up my shotgun. Dr. Sell was getting up on the other end of the glass, and he looked at both of us. One with her wicked fangs, me with my shotgun held in my weak magic. He only smiled and chuckled maniacally.
I knew I should have killed you years ago. Yes, you should have, she hissed at him.
Don't kill him yet, I said, stepping in front of her.
And why not? He deserves it and more.
I looked at the doctor. Is there a way to fix what happened to Sharp? The Bat Pony looked at me in surprise. The doctor, however, only laughed hysterically.
Why would I make a cure when there is nothing wrong with her? She's perfect as she is, even if she doesn't listen very well. Stupid Sharp, you'll regret turning your back on me. My name is Wind Thrasher. Wind Thrasher, do you hear me?
She screamed at him, grabbing him through the window with her fangs and throwing him into a wall. Blood spraying across the ground. I could see the pain on her face, the tears in her eye, as Dr. Sell just kept laughing. She walked up to him again, but she stopped and started to shake. She looked back at me.
I'm not a monster, and I don't want to be a monster. He made me do this, and I still just can't do it.
I walked up to her and put a hoof on her shoulder. Right then, my friends came rushing in. They looked at me, then Wind Thrasher, then at the doctor. Aura finally broke the silence.
For fuck's sake, why is it every time we walk off something interesting happens to you?
I only grinned at them, then turned back at Dr. Sell, as he continued to laugh uncontrollably. Is he ever going to stop? He looked up at Wind Thrasher, and yelled,
You are a monster, my pet. You always will be, no matter what you do. I named you Sharp because Wind Thrasher died years ago. Now be a good little monster and fucking kill this damned unicorn and her friends like I told you to.
I lifted my shotgun. Her name is Wind Thrasher, and she's no monster. You are. I pulled the trigger and his brain splattered against the far wall. His body fell to the ground, twitching as blood started to pool around what was left of his head. I had enough of this. It was time to leave Stable 9. I looked down at his still twitching body, and flipped his left foreleg around. The latch to his pip buck was there. I removed it and placed it in my saddlebags. Sharp, or Wind Thrasher, looked at me in confusion.
You killed him?
He was the real monster? It was time for him to be put down, I said, walking past Stardust and Aura, heading back into the hall. I stopped for a moment, saying to them, Look at the terminals in here. I made my way back into the hall, then through the door that led up to the Overmare's office. I went into an empty office, letting the door close behind me. Walking over the desk, I sat down and looked at the terminal. It looked like Stardust was able to log in. I saw dozens of files on the terminal, along with a few audio files, and a selection to unlock the Overmare's safe. I plugged my pip buck in and downloaded the files. After that, I unlocked the safe and walked over to it. I opened it only to find a few things. There was a recording, some gold pre-war bits, some old dusty files, and a memory orb. I reached into the safe and took the orb, the recording, and bits, placing them in my saddlebags. I looked over and saw Bones not far from the safe. Looked as if she'd been trying to reach it when she died, her hoof reaching out for it. I looked closer and saw another recording next to her hoof. I reached down and picked it up. I sat against the wall of her office and placed it into my pip-buck and hit play. A weak voice came out of my pip-buck, breathing heavily.
Mrs. Carrot Cake, Overmare of Stable 9. Former Overmare now, I guess.
A wet cough came from the recording.
All I wanted was for my stable to be a happy and healthy place. We did so much good here. Now the stable is dying. Dr. Sell has killed me. Killed so many of us. All I wanted him to do was to save my daughter.
She coughed again, and I could hear her crying.
He didn't help her at all. He made her into something. She's killed so many under her orders. I know it's not her doing it. It can't be.
She took a deep breath again.
Wind Thrasher, if you ever hear this, and you're better, just remember, I love you. I'm sorry. This is Overmare Carrot Cake, and he didn't get all of us.
I looked down at my pip-buck, ejecting the recording. Tears fell from my eyes as I looked back at those bones lying on the ground, her hoof reaching for the safe. It looked like she was trying to put the recording into it, but she died before she could.
She was a good mother,
Wind Thrasher said from the door. I looked up at her, and she was looking down at the bones. I still found her a little scary when I looked at her, but the pony she'd been before showed through the monstrous exterior. I wiped my tears away. What happened? She sighed.
This stable was supposed to be some kind of safe haven for different animals of Equestria. A special request from Fluttershy, the mayor who ran the Ministry of Peace. Over the years, though, only a couple species survived. Cell was a bioengineer and had this crazy idea to see if he could use the vampire fruit bats to make some kind of super creature, and eventually used their DNA to help us survive in the outside world. No pony knew that, though. We thought he was working on something else. I got hurt 20 years ago while working with security. I got electrocuted, and I wasn't doing well at all. So my mother, the Overmare, ordered him to help me in any way he could. He did this to me. Put that collar around my neck and showed me to Mother. Then, when she freaked out, he stabbed her. Ordered me to start killing every pony.
I could see tears falling from her eyes as she sat on her haunches. Stardust walked in and came over to me, sitting down, or I wasn't far behind. To my surprise, she sat next to Wind Thrasher, wrapping a wing around her.
Listen. Sorry I called you a monster. And sorry I said Shadowstar should kill you. I read the reports on the Crazy Doc's terminal. You were just a kid when this happened, huh?
She looked up at the griffin and nodded softly.
I'd just gotten my cutie mark. Mom set me up to work with security when this all happened. He made me kill so many.
She started to cry again. Aura shook her head.
How many? The stable had 500 ponies in it. Only a couple made it out. He made me kill all the rest. And then he kept their bodies in storage to use for a source of food for his monsters. Then that ran out. He found another way to keep them alive along with us.
I walked up to her and put a hoof onto her shoulder. Listen, Wind Thrasher. We have to get out of this place, and we'll have to seal it again to keep those things from getting out there. I want you to come with us. We could use a pony like you out there in the wasteland. She looked up at me and sighed.
That sounds nice. But I couldn't. Not yet.
Sure you can. The wasteland isn't a safe place for one pony on her own. We can help you.
No. Just look at me. For right now, when I leave the stable, I'm going to go out on my own. See what the wasteland has to offer, something like me. Maybe even find the survivors and hopefully find forgiveness," she said with a sad smile, looking over the bones of her dead mother.
Stardust still sat there as he said, "If you ever feel like you need help out there, just find us. I remember what it was like when I first went out on my own. It was scary. Before I found Shadow, I was all alone. It's not a nice feeling." She smiled at him.
"One day, maybe I will."
She stood and wiped her eyes. "I have one more question before we actually get out of here. 2, actually," I said.
"What's that?"
"First, what happened to my magic and my pit buck when we were first entering the stable? And later, when we were fighting? It wasn't as strong then, but the first time I heard that screech of yours, it did something to my pit buck."
"That's easy. The collar I had on wasn't just something to keep me under Dr. Sell's control. It disrupts magic and tech. The longer I did it, the worse the effects. I was on the other side of the door when you first got here. Dr. Sell wanted me to scare you two when you first arrived. He saw it as some kind of game," she said with a small laugh. "I have to admit it was kind of funny."
"So with the collar gone, I don't have to worry about this happening again?" I asked, looking down at my pit buck screen.
"Nope. Not unless you run into somebody else who knows how to do that kind of thing. What was your other question?"
"I didn't see any Pegasus bodies around when I was searching different parts of the stable. So, how did you get your wings?" She smiled and looked back at her mother again.
"Because I was the first Pegasus born in Stable 9. My mother said it was possible that it was in our bloodline somewhere. The doctor's experiments didn't give me wings. It only changed them."
I was about to ask her more when an alarm went off. Okay, really, what else could this stupid place throw at us? I looked at Wind Thresher. "What's that?" Aura, however, pointed at a window overlooking the atrium.
"Jordy, you might want to get out there."
I looked over my shoulder and felt my legs go weak, and my shoulder throb. Bloodwings were swarming into the atrium from everywhere, their loud cries echoing outside the large space. One spotted us through the window, and it rammed its body against the thick glass. Another ran into it right after. A small crack started to form on the window as more continued to run around the round window. "I take this as a good time to get the fuck out of here," Stardust said.
"How the fuck are we supposed to do that? Those things are blocking our only way out,"
Aura said, pressing the button to shut the door to the Overmayor's office. I ran to the terminal and searched for what I hoped would be in there. Sure enough, I saw the words "Emergency Escape Hatch" and clicked it. The desk started to lift, revealing the tunnel underneath. I saw one more thing written on the screen as well. I knew I didn't have any time to play around, so I downloaded the file to my pip-buck, then ran down the tunnel. "Hurry up! This will get us out of the stable door," I yelled. None of them argued as they all ran past me and down into the tunnel. I hit the button on the wall, making the desk sink back down, right when I heard the window above shatter. I got a quick glimpse as a few bloodwings flying around in the room before the desk sealed the tunnel again.
"Jordy, you coming or what?"
Aura asked, pulling on my barding. I turned and nodded, running after her. It only took us a couple of minutes to reach the secret door that led right to the large stable entrance. Thank Luna and Celestia, the Bloodwings hadn't found their way in here yet. Wind Thrasher flew over the switch and pulled it. Nothing happened. "I sealed it," I said, running up to her and plugging my pip-buck back in. I quickly unlocked the door and nodded at her. She pulled the lever and the drill arm came down and attached itself to the large gear-shaped door. This time, no alarm sounded. Let's hope there aren't any nasty surprises on the other side. "I'd rather deal with those fiends than those things back there," Stardust said as the door started to pull open and he ran through. We all followed. I was the last through. When I got past the door, Stardust pulled the lever outside, shutting it behind me. A moment later, the door was shut again. I walked up and sealed it, making sure that no pony could open it this time.
"Well, I guess this is goodbye for now. Also, Sorry about trying to kill you and everything, Wind Thresher said, her smile, her fangs showing.
I guess so. Just be careful. It can be sure to get away from here fast. There's some nasty ponies just outside the cave, I said, advising her of her next immediate danger.
Yeah, you really don't want to have your first experience in the wasteland be running into fiends,
Aura said slyly. Wind Thresher only beamed as her eyes glowed more.
Oh, trust me. I'm part bat pony. We're very good at being sneaky.
With that, she flapped her wings and rose into the air. I noticed how quiet they were when she moved. She winked, and in a flash, she was gone, flying quickly out of the tunnel. So, we snuck past dangerous fiends, made our way into a stable filled with monsters, a psycho doctor, and now have a griffin following us around. And what do we have to show for that? Stardust said, looking over at me. We got a pip-buck and saved a pony. Come on. Couldn't we have at least gotten something, like a new rifle for me?
You can go back in and look for one if you really want to,
Aura said, walking past him. Can you two keep it down? You do remember we still have to get past the fiends, right? I said, quietly, trying to stop their bickering. Stardust looked around. I'm kind of surprised there aren't any guards out here after that alarm went off earlier. Maybe they figured it was nothing, I said, slowly walking down the tunnel with my shotgun. When we saw the mouth of the cave up ahead, it looked clear, so we worked our way slowly towards the light following in. As I drew closer, I could hear ponies talking in the towers close by. Stardust walked close to me, whispering in my ear. Let's head out from here. If we take off quick enough, we should be fine, even if they see us. Yeah, let's do that, I replied in agreement. I started to put my shotgun away when a pony rounded the corner and looked right at us. He kind of reminded me of the raiders from Cartwheel, spiked armor and dirty. His eyes, though, were pinpricks. He saw us and yelled, "Die!" His rifle came up, pointing right at me. His tongue started on the trigger. I hit Sats, targeting his head with 2 shots. I fired, the first shot grazing the side of his cheek, knocking his own shot to the side. My second shot hit him in the neck. He fell, blood flowing from his neck. He didn't yell or anything. He just looked up at me, starting to gurgle. He pulled out a vial of Med-X and injected it. And then he started to get up, his neck still bleeding. "Bitch is gonna die," he gurgled. I froze. Stardust, however, didn't. He walked up, pressing his gun to the other pony's head, and fired. The pony's body fell limp like a worn rag doll. Stardust picked up the assault rifle, opening up his wings. "Fuck, we gotta go now."
Agreed,
Aura said, opening her wings. Gunfire erupted outside, barely missing me as I jumped back into the cave, taking cover. Okay, now what? I asked as bullets rattled off the rocks overhead. Fuck. I need a rifle with a scope. This bullet waster isn't going to be much help, Stardust said, looking panicked and irritated at the same time.
Just suck it up and use it.
At least it's better than a pistol, Aura yelled angrily. Shut up! I don't take orders from you, he yelled back. Both of you idiots, shut up. If you hadn't noticed, we're being shot at by psychos who probably want to eat our corpses after we've been blown to bits. Stardust, use the fucking gun, and Aura, quit fighting with Stardust, I guess. There, everything's fair now. Just help me kill them before they kill us. They both looked at me in awe at my sudden assertiveness. Then I heard the pinging sound getting closer. I looked up towards the sound and saw a shiny metal apple bouncing towards us. Get down! Aura yelled, tackling Stardust and me. A loud explosion thundered through the cave, making my ears ring. I got up, feeling lightheaded. Looking around, I saw Stardust next to me, dazed. On top of him was Aura. There was smoke coming from the feathers on her back. Aura, are you okay? Say something!
Why is the cave spinning? And why does my back hurt?
She said, reaching to feel her back with her talons. There was an exploding apple. You shielded Stardust and I. Take this, I said, giving her a healing potion. She drank it, and the burns on her back slowly started to heal.
Damn. You mean I shielded dumbass too?
You know, you should ask a stallion on a date or two before jumping his bones like that, Stardust said, smirking. I think we got him.
Let's go check it out,
I heard a fiend's voice say from outside.
We've got to get out of here before they start coming up here guns blazing,
Stardust said. I looked over towards the entrance and noticed that the dead fiend had been blown to smithereens in the explosion. I looked up. Coming from the high ceilings above were large stalactites. I have an idea. One of you fly me up there and we'll hang on the stalactites and hide.
That won't work.
I'm pretty sure they're smart enough to look up, Stardust said in disbelief. Just do it. Quick. They'll be here any second.
Fine. I just hope this works,
he said as he picked me up and flew me up to the stalactites, with Aura following. Not long after, about a half-dozen fiends came in through the entrance.
Ha! Looks like that guy got blown to bloody chunks. This place is a mess. Good work, Spring Chap,
the fiend, who seemed to be the ringleader, said, sounding pleased.
How did you know this would work?
Aura whispered. I saw that the fiend's Stardust shot down below us got blown to bits in the explosion. They don't know that there's 3 of us, so they probably thought whoever got them was up here. I whispered back.
What about the one I shot? Don't they realize that that was one of their own up here?
Stardust asked quietly.
They probably thought nothing of it. Fiends are like raiders, only a little smarter and more organized. Just let them think they got us, and they'll let their guard down enough so we can sneak out of here.
Aura whispered back at him. The fiends left the cave after a few minutes of kicking around the chunks of meat like they were playing some sort of sick game.
All right. Let's get out of here while we can. We can go up the side of the mountain and take off out of sight,
Aura said, releasing her grip on the stalactite and flapping her wings to hover.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Let's climb a mountain and take a chance of being seen by the tower guards. Your idea is going to get us killed, Stardust said sarcastically.
Oh yeah? Then what's your brilliant plan? Oh, fearless leader.
I thought I was the leader, I said, feeling left out.
We'll decide this later. Let's just do what I said and get the fuck out of here,
Aura said, sounding annoyed. Fine. Death it is, Stardust replied. We descended back down to the clay floor and walked towards the entrance quickly, trying not to get the attention of the guards in the tower close by. We'd snuck out of the cave entrance and started to climb the mountain. I was the only one who physically had to climb. Stardust and Aura were using their wings to give them lift so they wouldn't have to use more energy climbing. Personally, I thought it was cheating, but I guess if I had wings, I'd probably be doing the same thing. We were getting a good distance up the mountain, and I made the mistake of looking down. The side of the ground so far below gave me tunnel vision, and I was starting to feel a little lightheaded. The feeling made worse when I lost my grip on the rock I was stepping on. I started to slide down the loose pebbles that covered the mountain. After a moment, I was able to get a hold on another rock, and I stopped. With my heart racing, I started to climb again. I put my hind hoof on a large rock to boost myself up. It broke off, and I was left hanging by my fore hooves as it tumbled down the mountain. It crashed into other rocks on the way down, causing a small rock slide. The sound alerted the fiends in the camp down below. Shots rang out, and bullets ricocheted off the mountainside where I was hanging. Stardust glided down and grabbed me.
Damn it! I told her this was going to get us killed!
He dove down, trying to avoid the gunfire, and I proceeded to exclaim,
Ah! What are you doing? You're headed towards the danger! Calm down, I got this. What the fuck are you doing?
Aura yelled from behind us. He opened his wings and caught wind, sending us gliding over the fiend-infested town. I could feel bullets hit my barding as we flew over. Luckily, none punched through the armor plating sewn into it. Aura was following close behind, trying to avoid getting shot. I could see the edge of the town coming fast. Among the ponies shooting at us, I could see a large stallion loading a strange-looking object into a large contraption.
Oh shit. BEL!
Stardust yelled, flapping his wings, increasing speed. What the fuck's a BEL? We'd just gotten past the edge of the town when I heard a strange whistling sound coming from behind us. Kaboom! A huge explosion erupted behind us, the shockwave knocking Aura and Stardust out of control. We hit the ground hard, bouncing and rolling. We came to a halt and I could barely move, pain covering every inch of my body. I managed to use my magic and get 3 healing potions. I downed mine and started to feel its effect immediately. Hey Shadow, you okay? Stardust asked. I'm fine. I took a healing potion. What about Aura? I said, levitating him a potion. I think I sprained my leg and a few ribs, but I'll be fine. I've got supplies, Aura said, wincing at the pain in her ribs. I was finally able to race to my hooves, and then... I suggest y'all stop right there, before we turn you into a bloody mess, the stallion said from about 10 feet away. He had a rifle raised and pointed right at us. Great! Told her your dumbass plan was going to get us killed, Stardust said, annoyed. What are you going to do? Kill us? Torture us? Eat us? I asked. What do you take me for? A raider? I ain't gonna eat you. But on the other hoof, the other 2 sound pretty good right now. I'm Gator, the leader of this fine town and the ponies in it. Now, y'all are gonna come with me and these fellas, or if you'd like to run, I need the target practice, considering I didn't hit you with my balefire egg launcher, Gator said. BL, I get it now. Why should we go with you? You're just gonna kill us whether we run or not, Stardust said angrily. Now, I never said I was gonna kill you. I just said the idea sounded good. I will kill you if you try to run, though. I just want to know how y'all got in there with that stable up in the cave. How do you know it was us in the stable? Aura asked. Y'all really do think I'm some kind of idiot, don't you? I know a stage of death when I see one. Just 'cause I look like a dumb, dragged-up raider doesn't mean I am one. I just prefer doing whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, and those things just happen to be killing, drugs, and the occasional pillaging, he answered. What are you going to do if we tell you? I asked. How about we discuss this elsewhere? Come with me and we'll have a little chat. Maybe we can work something out. Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Bloody mess. You now have a 15% chance of making a target explode upon death, dealing damage to any pony surrounding them. Note, if you are too close to a target, you will also take damage.